Guess what? It's springtime. Spring has sprung. Finally, I am in a sweater. I'm out in the bush. I'm not freezing. It's exciting. And guess what we're doing? We're boiling sap. We're never gonna be finished boiling sap. Well, we will when the buds come out. The other day, I went and collected sap from all our trees, and I ended up getting 110 gallons of sap, which is approximately, well, it's exactly 2 of these 55-gallon drums full. And now I'm boiling, because that's what you do. While the sap is flowing, you boil. And you remember this guy? Who's that guy? Can you see? He's blurry. You're blurry right now. You're in the fog. That's Mark. Mark's my my friend and my resident expert on everything to do with gas things. Anyways, we're boiling. He's just admiring the evaporator. How is this for evaporation?
This is amazing. It's it really is. I'm very surprised at how well this actually works.
Is it like a feat of engineering?
Sure, a feat of engineering is a great phrase for this.
Or is it like it's a feat of arts and crafts?
It is. You know, you've taken some stuff and turned it into a thing.
We're gonna make some coffee, but we're not gonna make any ordinary coffee. We're gonna make Mick Cafe coffee, because I have those coffee grounds, but we're gonna make it out of maple water. Instead of using normal water, we're gonna use maple sap. We can't call it maple water, it's called sap. Maple sap, we're gonna take it directly from the evaporator. We're gonna use our French press with our coffee grinds. But first we gotta make coffee grinds. And we're gonna try it. We're gonna add no sugar, because it's already got the sugar in there. And let's see how it's gonna work. So we're gonna put Mark to work. Come on, Mark.
This is gonna be delicious.
Here, come on, grind my beans.
Grinding my beans.
It's a very fine grind. You gotta just keep turning. Too bad we don't have a tool for this. Keep spinning.
We do. It's me.
Mark's my grinder. He's looking. No, that's not a thing, is it?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it should be.
We should. Yeah, no, we don't have any in there.
We gotta hang on a second here.
We got a dusting.
Do we have
Is it like?
Do we have a blockage? Do we have a backup?
No, that's just how fine it grinds.
It's gonna be some excellent maple sap coffee.
Just gonna let it steep. Is that a word for coffee? We're gonna let it percolate. We're gonna let it simmer.
Yeah, all of those.
All those words. We're gonna let her drown. We're gonna drown in the coffee grounds in there, and we're gonna let all the flavors from that hard-earned coffee bean we ground to impart the flavor into our maple sap. That's a little bit sweet. We're gonna just let it sit there for a couple of minutes. How strong do we want this thing?
Oh, it says espresso. I think we want it strong.
We want it strong enough, because we got to go collect another 100 gallons of sap.
We need energy.
We just carry it on our back.
Yeah.
We're gonna strap this blue barrel to Mark's back, and we're gonna say, "Here's your espresso," and away you go.
Just like a Nepalese Sherpa.
Look who's in the bush.
Always in the bush.
Always in the bush. Chris, do you like coffee?
No, I don't.
You like coffee? Come on, you want coffee? Coffee. People wonder why I'm so wound up all the time. Good. You ever tried coffee beans? Just try to eat that.
We're going. It's going.
It's going?
Oh yeah.
All right. This is the most flattering angle I could find. Just gonna blow out the side.
A geyser of hot coffee.
Oh,
hot
yeah.
maple sap coffee.
I have a plastic ring for this thing. I just don't know where it is. Pressed by Bobble. This was a donation back when we were making the cabin. That looks rich. It's like hot.
That's delicious.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really good.
It's mostly caffeine and sugar. You can't go wrong with that.
This is amazing.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Try some. Hang on. There, I'm gonna pour mine in my camera lens. The wife says I never use anything that you got this for me for Christmas.
I got you that.
Mark got me this for Christmas. This camera lens. It's actually a coffee cup. But I was gonna say my wife always complains I don't use the things she buys me for Christmas, and it turns out Mark bought me this for Christmas.
So her complaint stands.
She doesn't watch the videos. Oh, nice.
It's good, isn't it? It's really good.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk that?
I don't know. That's yeah. You stumbled across a fantastic idea.
Wow. Wow.
Regular coffee will never be the same.
It's true. That's,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, wow, that's, if you can try this.
You should. You
Yeah.
really should.
You gotta do it in the forest though.
Yeah.
I was thinking of doing the cedar pole on top of here on an angle, and then putting strapping flat perpendicular to that to that cedar, but I think that's just going to be too many variables. So we're going to end up milling wood in order to basically put our structure from here down, and then put our strapping on that to have our roof set down, because otherwise there's just too many variables, and I think it'll just turn wonky and it'll just be frustrating, and like I said it before, it'll turn into swearing in the woods with Kevin. We don't like that. Anyways, one more thing to do and then we can start milling. We're kind of looking for some logs, so we have another kind of a stash spot where we keep like these. It's a strategic firewood / log collection, and it's another location where the arborist drops off logs from time to time. So there's the less valuable stuff, meaning the softwood, is kind of up for grabs. It's kind of more of a pain in the butt to deal with and to try to heat your home with a softwood log. So they're kind of up for grabs, and they usually come in long lengths. So I'm going to take a look in the pile to see if there's anything there that can be used for our roof structure. Yeah, we're just going to send them through the mill. So if there's something here, then we can organize to have them brought over to the other property and milled up. Let's go have a look. Well, it appears there's a whole bunch of logs here. It's just a question of getting them out. They might be still kind of frozen. There's a little bit of ice on top. But there's definitely some logs that would work, like that one up there, and then this one here, and then that one over there. But again, they're buried. So I might have to use what I have unburied for the time being. We're kind of running against the clock, because there's one little laneway there on the property that allows us to drive our tractor to and from, but once it gets too mild out, it turns to mud and it just turns to snot. You can't actually travel on it anymore, so you kind of have to let it either dry out or freeze again. So there's like early mornings you can drive on it. It's kind of the challenges of living in the country, is that you just kind of have to deal with the seasons. Mud season is almost upon us. Whenever I'm starting a new project, I like to start with a fresh blade, and usually that allows me to find the first nail on the log. Kidding aside, that's if you start with a new blade, usually everything seems to work better. I think in the manual it does say to take the blade off when you're not using it. I probably should do that. I generally don't, because I end up milling a whole lot, and I don't sharpen my blades. I end up replacing them, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That's just how I do it. I know you can buy a sharpener for them, and then you can sharpen them. That's a lot of teeth and a lot of time. Like, the blades aren't overly expensive, and the amount of time that you would spend sharpening them, I find it's just easier to buy a new blade. So that's what I do. So now I'm all chalked up for a new blade. I can start milling my lumber for my roof, because my roof is on its way. But we're still boiling sap, so I haven't really got a lot of progress done today. Hey, Frankie. Hey, Frankie. Ah! You say hi? See, my dog's gonna attack me. So yeah, we gotta go load the boiler again, because we are evaporating the sap, because we're still making maple syrup. So there's, like I said, not very much progress happening, but there is a lot of stuff happening. It's just that we're not getting sometimes it doesn't pay to get out of bed. You just kind of one step forward, two steps back. But we are making progress, slowly but surely. Frankie says hi. Hi, Frankie. See, our trail down here is still partially frozen and partially mud, but the next couple of days it's going to be like extra terrible. The pond is thawing. You can see the pond. It's got probably 4 or 5 inches of water on top of it. It's melting. Everything's melting. Everything's turned into snot. Sauna's still doing awesome. There comes Frankie! In the mud. Mud. So we're just rocking to the evaporator, which is just over here. But in order to do so, we have to go through the mud. Oh, mud season. I love mud season. She's not actively... Oh, she smells delicious though. So we gotta add some more wood, add some more sap, carry on boiling, and make some logs. There we go, guys. I think we just discovered why 2x4s are so expensive. No, we actually didn't discover why they're so expensive. We milled 11 of them in 20 minutes, real time. The current price of that is it was like $110 with the 2x4s we just milled in 20 minutes using a relatively garbage log. So I don't know. I think there's money to be made in 2x4s. I never thought in a million years that I'd be milling 2x4s, softwood lumber, with my mill. I always thought it was going to be like hardwood specialty stuff. Didn't think there was going to be sort of money in making 2x4s, but here we are making 2x4s at the mill. When they were a couple of bucks each, it made no sense to use a mill to mill 2x4s. Now, absolutely it makes sense to make dimensional lumber out of softwood. Crazy world. Anyways, we're just going to keep on milling. We need 32 for the roof structure, and then we need to do strapping. So we've got a couple of logs lined up, and yeah, let's get milling. We're burning daylight. Yesterday we milled up a significant amount of roof structure that we needed for our roof. This is one log left. It's about 14 feet long, and we've got to mill that into some more strapping for the to hold our steel roof. But I was told by my buddy down the road, Gord, he's pulling his taps today. So I was like, I was meaning to visit his boiling operation. There's going to be a spell of warm weather coming up, so I think that's why he's pulled it. We're probably going to hold out for the long run to see just how long it does flow for. It's a video, it's a moving picture.
It's just a quick one, isn't it?
It's the update on the Gord's boils, because this is
okay.
we mirrored our evaporator pan off yours, and we're
Right.
just coming to check to see how yours is doing. So this is your last boil of the season.
Yep.
How many gallons in total did you get of sap?
260
260 gallons.
Canadian gallons.
Canadian gallons, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because those are bigger than American
That's
gallons.
right. That's a quart more.
A quart more
Yeah.
per gallon. That's right. So 260 gallons, Canadian gallons of, and that boiled down to. You got any finished stuff yet?
No, I haven't finished anything.
You haven't finished anything, so it's all in this pan.
That jug underneath the evaporator at the back there,
Oh yeah,
that's full of almost finished.
that's the concentrated stuff.
Yeah.
So you haven't like you got all your eggs in one basket, so to say.
I'm doing it different this year. At the end of my boil, when I get this all boiled down, I'm dumping that in,
Yeah.
and I'm using my gauge. I'm gonna finish it on this big pan.
Oh wow, that's gonna be stressful. Maybe a little bit.
It is. I have to make sure I have my welding gloves
Oh yeah.
right here so I can grab that pan and throw it up onto here, because you got to get it off.
Yeah, or otherwise she turns into a mess of black.
Candy.
Yeah.
And then the pan's no good.
Well, I don't think we're gonna stick around that long, but we're gonna compare the color. I think at the end of everything, we'll put some side by side to see what I don't know. Maybe a different color from trees to trees. Who knows?
Mine's always has been in the past really light. Yeah, I would boil 40 down to. I would basically boil 40 gallons down to a gallon.
Yep.
And then finish it.
Right.
And then bottle it.
But you saw progressively darker syrup as the season went along.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah. So Gord previously would take the turkey roaster and put it on a propane burner and then burn it that way. And you use a lot of propane just to boil that one pot down. So if you can get away from that, it's more efficient. Well, it's not more efficient. It's cheaper. How many of you guys got that while you're at it projects? So while we have the mill all chalked up and ready to go, and it's got, you know, fresh blade on it, it's got water already in it, it's got gas, and I figured I'm gonna mill up one of these walnut logs I've had laying around. It's one of those kind of, when you got time to do it, you might as well just do it. So we've got, it's a little bit shorter than the bunks allow, so I've got my little, my jig to hold the log up on there. And we're just gonna go for it. It's been sitting there for a couple of years, so all the bark's fallen off, but it is black walnut, the elusive black walnut. This, you know, on the open market, this log's gotta be worth a couple grand, or so people think. It's just neat looking wood when you get inside. So we're gonna open it up, we're gonna have a look at it. You guys get to see. It's always the most vivid the first time, like right as you cut it. And that is why people like the elusive black walnut logs, because it looks like this when it's fresh off the mill. This stuff has a little bit of wait time going into it because it's got to dry. This stuff is milled at about 2.5 inches thick. It's at some point going to become either coffee tables or a bench or something like that, but it's got to dry pretty significantly in order to actually, you know, do the proper planing and maybe epoxy coating. So this will be, we'll revisit this on a later video. You can see what I can make with these. All right, guys, well, we spent the last couple of days milling up material because it's good to have materials on hand before you start your project, because it's the worst when you're in the middle of a project and you got to run to this mill or the forest or wherever you get your materials from. It's good to have everything on hand when you're starting to build. So we've got a couple of more things to do. As you can see, we've got no roof structure yet. We've got to put in our roof. So that's what we've milled up. We've got 35, 36 2x4s milled up and all the strapping that's required to put our steel roof on. So we've got to attach, square up the roof a little bit, the ridge line, set our main beam in still. It's one of those things. You kind of have to make time and focus. So you start early in the morning when you have the most focus to do the most arduous tasks. So that's what we're doing today. We're also evaporating. We just finished our secondary boil. We're just dripping it out of the tray. You can see we got our strainer. You can see our maple syrup there. We can see it dripping into our bucket ever so slowly because it's very fine. We've got about 15 gallons of stuff we got to boil down a little bit further. So we're gonna boil that down, and hopefully by the end of this all we can have some pancakes. So you gotta stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, we're gonna set our beam in. So in order to cut these gable ends, what I'm doing is I've cut I guess a rafter. These are rafters, trusses, or like a little bird's mouth, peaky thing. And I'm gonna put it up against this gable end. So with that thing sitting down there, what I can do is actually run my saw along this edge up here, and that can give me a straight cut all the way down. Because when you're using a chainsaw, it depends on which way the plane is on the bar. If you have something flat, it's almost like using a chainsaw mill. You've kind of got a guide using this board. Check that out for a view. High above the chimney tops. So what I'm doing up here, well, I'm putting the roof on, but what I'm doing specifically is I'm spacing these guys out. We made basically a bird's mouth, kind of like this, a beak, and then we hung them over top of the ridge beam, and then I spaced them out 1 foot on centers all the way along. And what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to run a chalk line from end to end and make sure my ridge is true all the way along. So I don't want anything proud. I want them all to be flat. And then I'm going to work my way from the ridge down to the end where I guess where the eave trough sits. And I want to make sure those are all true as well. So if I've got to shim up in the middle in order to make it flat, a nice little spot for my steel roof to lay, that's what I'm going to do. Because we're dealing with a lot of variables and you still want it to be relatively flat when it's done. So this is when you take the time to true it all up. It'll make your roof not look ripply. And then we got skylights coming, I think. Some clear translucent panels. I'm not sure exactly how those work, but we may be cutting out some sections of the roof in order to take full advantage of the translucency of the panel. Is that a word? Translucency? All right, well, moving right along. As you can see, our roof looks like a roof, but we got a little bit more work to do. While we were muscling up those logs, I think we came up with an idea of lopping this one off in order to make it easier to lift it past. As it turns out, if you look at it, that was the roof. Oops. So what we've done is we've saved it. Here's our chunk, and it goes right there. It supports our roof, but yeah, we got to kind of figure out a way. We got to figure out a way to reattach this bad boy. Maybe just a really long lag bolt or something like that, because it does hold up the edge of the roof. It is the overhang. Things happen. Things happen. Stuff happens. Not a big deal. We'll reattach that guy. Maybe you guys have an idea on how to reattach that thing. The best thing to do, like fresh off the press, is the maple sap. We've got it down, boiled down the maple syrup. We've actually bottled it. First one off of the bottle, off the bottling plant. We boiled it right down. So we're gonna cook. We're cooking pancakes today. We've got my brother's here. Don's anxiously awaiting us cooking dinner. We've got our grill all fired up. We've got our coals all ready. Yeah. So we should get making pancakes. We're gonna make Chris is he's gluten free. Are these gluten free pancakes, Chris?
Yep.
So they're not gonna be as fluffy and delicious as normal pancakes, or are they? They're quick. All right. So they're just as good, but they're gluten free.
They'll be good.
Best of both worlds. So we're gonna cook on a fire. I don't know if is cooking on pancakes on a fire easy. I've never cooked pancakes on a fire.
No. It's probably one of the hardest things to do.
All right, let's start cooking on a fire. The hardest thing to do. Eggs Benny's probably harder to cook on a fire than pancakes.
Well, I don't know. Pancakes go one way. They either get burnt or they're not burnt.
Well, you are an expert. This should be smoke eye seasoned?
Yep.
All right.
Oh.
Why does the fire smoke follow us? How much water? Well, how much water are we gonna need? What do we do? Get it from the creek? Oh, you got water. You probably got
Creek water.
Creek water. We're making creek water pancakes
There
today.
you go.
Look at that. That's fresh maple syrup. It's still hot. It's like once it cools down, the consistency will thicken up a little bit, but it's about 100 degrees still. Hot. All right. So that is our syrup. That's the final thing. We've got our grill. This is the griddle. It's a flat pan. You can cooking surface. I don't think we're going to use that today because the mission critical pancakes, we're going to use the grill. The same thing, but it's got basically holes in it. And what we do with this thing is we put it on the fire. So we've got our steaks and we slide it on the rails at whatever height we want. And it's adjustable up and down and it just sits there, just like that. So we probably want it about that high. So again, this is USA.com and it's the grill. And you can, if you guys want to check this guys out, I'll put the link in the description below. There's a coupon code you can type in if you guys want to get yourself one of these. But this is what we're cooking on today. So we've got where's our cast iron? We're putting our cast iron on the grill.
Oh, it's so tricky to cook pancakes, but that one's not quite. Well, it's flippable. But I feel like I turn the heat up a little bit, even though it's freaking roast hot. We'll drop it right down. What's nice about the grill is you can adjust it, even though it's hot like heck down here. It needed a bit more heat. There we go. That's better. Whew. It's almost touching the bottom here, but that's how you want to cook on the coals. So I don't know. I like this grill. It's a lot easier than cooking just bush stuff. It's like, can you imagine trying to hover? Well, you'd have to put the pan right on the coals and then it might be too hot. But then if you're up too high, it's too cold, or you got too much flame and then smoke everywhere. But this is just right with all the coals here. It's nice, nice grill. I like it. Works good. Too bad it's not portable. It's camp grill, backyard camp grill. It does best.
It's portable, you just got to be strong.
Yeah, it's not portable. It's built too good. It's built too heavy. It's built to last. So, I mean, pros and cons of every kind of system. All right, who gets first go at these?
Don gets first go. First pancake, Don. There's you.
Don gets the honors?
That's absolutely Don gets the honors.
That's hot. All right.
All those?
Yeah.
Why don't you?
We're going to make another batch.
I'll throw the next batch on. Everybody can eat on separate goes.
Careful, it's hot still.
Yep. You got enough on there?
It soaked it right in because it's a million degrees.
Yeah. Here, you gotta do it right.
There.
That's this year's. There you go.
Don's getting diabetes just by eating his pancakes.
Yeah. Wow, that's delicious.
Too much heat.
I jiggled it.
Uh-oh.
Whew, that is hot. Might have to move it up a touch. Just little increments. Degrees of temperature, just like cooking on the stove. Who gets the ugly ones?
Whew. It's crazy how hot this is still. Like we can't even hold the bottle. That's how hot it is. And like I said, once that cools down, it'll thicken up. It's because it's 100 degrees still. It's got to cool down for it, the consistency to go up. Oh, the pancakes are. Oh yeah, pancakes are thirsty pancakes. They just like suck the syrup right in. It's like just a cake full of syrup. Cake syrup.
Oh, beautiful. Let's see if I can fit all these in there without them touching. Small pan.
I feel like Gollum. Oh, precious. We gotta build a table and chairs, Don. We weren't sure if the syrup was going to be ready today, so Chris ended up bringing last year's stock. This is last year's stock on a mason jar. You can kind of see the color differential. It's kind of like, looks like motor oil, and it's probably because it was like the last boil of the last season.
Motor oil.
Looks like motor oil. It's dark.
That's not a good way to say it.
It looks like well, the taste probably delicious, but it looks like motor oil. Look how well, other than the dirt on the bottom of this jar. This is a dark, okay, not motor oil. Dark amber. Is there sediment in the bottom of this? This is 1 year old. This is exactly, well, about a year old. 365 days old, and you can see, well, it could be that it's just thicker, the viscosity or the density, because it's thicker. It's twice as thick as that one for like clarity. Anyways, that's the comparison between this one and this one. Both delicious.
It's good.
Okay, we're moving right along with our roof, and we're running into a little bit of a problem, and I think we've found a solution to it. So these guys here don't really touch this middle beam. Now, That would have probably been easier to just kind of put the middle beam in afterwards and just kind of push it out. But we didn't really have that luxury because it's used the structure because we kind of moved our way up. So what we've done is we've cut these cedar shims and we're going to use a steel stud to run from our ridge to our other side, and we're going to shim it, and then it makes our roof perfectly flat so our steel doesn't buckle when it's installed. So we've got our shims all cut, and we've got our steel. This is our steel stud. This is our one steel stud. It's about 9 feet long, and that'll allow us to kind of use it as a straight edge and flatten out the roof that way. So as you can see, these are a little too long. We don't want to be able to, whoops, that fell down. We want to be able to see or not see the shims. So we're going to tuck them in this way. So when you're at the ground level, you can't see it, only when you're up here. But I guess, and then when we put the roofing insulation and whatnot. Doesn't it look cool up here? I think it looks neat. Maybe there's going to be a 2-story on this sugar shack. Or is it not going to be a sugar shack? I don't know. We'll decide that when we get there. Well, guys, I think you guys are going to have to stay tuned for next week when the roof shows up. There's going to be some big changes around here with the roof going on. We'll be make it watertight. Fortunately, we haven't had any rain yet on top of this thing. So anyways, tune in next week where we got the roof. Big changes. Okay. Oh, this is why they don't build 1-foot centers. I think I made it through. I don't think my hips are going to go through. Oh, my tool belt. Come on. I'm stuck.